One could possibly think that I'm angry when I'm doing
You needed to get that one out. I could hear it in your voice. Oh.
that. Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Seven Kinds of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki, and of course, with me tonight, he is the man with many names. He's the Mad Doctor. He's the Strangler. He.
That's a new one.
The muscle man, the
When
doctor,
did
the
she start
author,
talking to you?
the mad doctor of disaster and destruction, the author, Adega Outlaw,
Hello.
the Strangler. They called him the Strangler.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Oh! Oh shit! That's what she said. She called me the Strangler. Oh my god! Yes.
Sorry,
absolutely.
not sorry. How is everybody?
No. I'm doing all
For
right.
the one that you're having a good time, I did want to talk about something real quick.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's just there's been a lot of passion going on. You can hear it in the mornings, things behind the scene. I tell you what, and I was just talking with Loki about this. There are times when things are going really, really, really good. And it's a yin and yang thing. And you'll notice there's be setbacks and things that are bad and stuff that'll happen. But remember the good, because there's equal and opposites. It's a universal truth. And like today, this morning, we watched the ticker jump from his membership count from the high 1,600, and now you got another 10 at least. So he's over 1,700, something to celebrate. There's other things. You just had the big meetup. There's a whole bunch of other things to celebrate. Life, as much as we have all this opposition, as much as gas prices are going through the roof, there is a lot of good. And I'm happy to be here with you, and I'm happy to enjoy the good with each and every one of you.
We're gonna do a members. We're gonna have a members meetup this weekend. Be before I go see Star Trek the motion picture, because I'm gonna go see Star Trek the motion picture director's cut in the theater, in 4K. Yes, in 4K.
I still would pay a ton of money if I could go to the movie with you. Just to see you in the movie theater. Give you a big bag of popcorn and a big drink, and to see how much of it ends up on the floor.
Oh my god! And I mean, I want to see the Enterprise. I want to see the Enterprise on the big screen. The Enterprise we all know, the Enterprise we all love from the motion picture. I want those long shots of the Enterprise, and I really cannot wait. I cannot wait to see this in the theater. I want to see Wrath of Khan, the director's cut. I want to see all these movies in the theater. And so every time I see like, oh look what they've got back in the theater, I can't wait to go see it.
There were 3 scenes in that movie, and we don't have any theaters around me, so I won't be able to see it. I'll have to catch it when it comes out on Blu-ray or 4K. I don't have 4K yet, but I will. But 3 scenes that stood out to me of that movie more than any, in that initial flyby of the Connie, when they're just buzzing by looking at the Enterprise, was, being a kid in a theater watching that, I was just, oh my word.
Yeah.
The number 2, which is big of a scene, and some people think, are you weird, is when he had the big assembly with the crew in that giant recreation room that they had.
Yes.
On the Enterprise. I love that room. I love that room.
And you see V'ger take down the station, and you're just like, oh my.
Right.
It just vaporized that entire space station.
But it's part of that scene is when the music starts and you see the 3 Klingon battle cruisers with the red alert rooms lit up, and the Klingons sitting there in their full battle gear, and you hear that music and them buzzing in. No fear, just going to battle. I just go, oh crap. It still gives me chills.
Yeah, you know that the head of that Klingon task force was the same guy that played Sarek, Spock's father.
Right. Right.
It's those little things you find out that you're just like, really? Oh, so he played a Romulan, he played a Vulcan, and he played a Klingon.
Well, well. But either way, I wait for your report because as many people disparage that first movie, I always loved it. It's not my favorite of the Star Trek movies. I'm with you with Wrath of Khan being, I think, my favorite of all of them.
Yes.
But number 2 would have to be that one. And it just
I really liked 3. A lot of people don't like 3, but I really liked 3, and it was them stealing the Enterprise. I think that was like the Kirk. If you do this, you'll never sit in the captain's chair again. Go Sulu. And he's like, screw it, we're out of here. And then he, the whole prepare for transwarp drive, and everything fails. And you don't even find out in that movie that if Scotty hadn't sabotaged the Excelsior, they would have all died when they went to transwarp. Everyone on that ship would have died when they entered transwarp.
Yep.
And because of that, because they didn't, all the sensor readings from Scotty sabotaging it, because that jump failed, they were able to realize, okay, if we would have done this, it would have killed everyone on the ship. It's those little things that you like find out later that you're like, holy crap, man. Holy crap. I loved the third movie because of that. If they won't give us a ship, we'll steal a ship.
Right.
Bones being Spock. Well, my friend, that's not logical. And you're like, holy shit, it's Spock, but he's in Bones. What hell of an actor. And he played both roles.
DeForest Kelly, yeah.
DeForest Kelly was just so awesome.
Yep.
And I do love 4. I love 4, Admiral, there be whales here. I love 4. We hit what the hell we hit with the pole. The Norwegian sailors that get to see the bird.
Right.
Yes, Genesis. How can you be deaf with ears that big? Yes. Genesis. Yes. Genesis. Oh, man.
Sorry, reminiscing, but again, it's one of those things where you celebrate the good stuff. We're here to celebrate the good stuff. We may rant and rave, and we may have our own individual trials and troubles, but we come together here as Valhalla to share and be better for it.
Spock and Bones don't give Paramount any ideas. I won't. They can't recreate that. See, that's the thing. They can't recreate that. Majel Barrett played Valkyrie. Yes. Yes. Understood, my lord. Yes. And she also played Roxana Troy and the original number 1. They can't be replaced. Nobody can replace it. She also did the voice to the computer. She was the voice to the computer on the original series on TNG.
Yep.
And Carl Urban is a great actor, and I liked when you first see him. I'm like, okay, this has to be Bones. And he's like, woman took everything in the divorce, left me nothing but my bones. And I'm like, oh my god, that's how they named him. I liked Carl Urban. He's not DeForest Kelly though. He's not.
No, but that's as close as you're gonna get. So.
What do you got for us tonight? Because we can sit here and I can talk OG Star Trek all night long. I could spend the next 3 hours talking about the first 6 movies.
I've become very reserved on Star Trek because I'm waiting for it to have its rebirth. It's the slow death of a phoenix. One day it will come back. Then I will celebrate more Star Trek. Right now, I'm just kind of keeping all that in reserve. What I have, though, is I thought it was kind of interesting. It was something that I heard the other day, and most of you know, I mentioned last week, I'm going to be a little thin on things until my books come out. And if you look on Amazon, you can find it's not technically out, but you can see the hardcover Evolution already being advertised, and it says it's under review. what they do is they check for quality and everything, and probably before the 30th it will be out. But I'm having my big celebration on the 30th. Either way, I'm working on stuff more than here, and I apologize, but I do have something for you for tonight. And it was something, again, like I said, I learned the other night. And maybe some of you know this has a lot to do with what we understand as a werewolf, and it's the Beast of Gabaldon. I don't speak French very well or at all, but that's what it is. It's from France, the Beast of Gabaldon. It was monstrous, wolf-like creature who turned the mid-18th century into a terrifying bloodbath for the people of Gavon, a small province in south-central France. Although the beast claimed anywhere from 80 to 200 lives and left numerous eyewitnesses in the wake of his attack, he was never positively identified as a known predator. To this day, he remains one of history's bloodiest mysteries. Some of the physical descriptions from eyewitness accounts of the beast yield a motley specimen, a patchwork of traits from wolves, lions, hyenas, bears, dogs, and panthers. And that's the thing with eyewitnesses, you'll find that most of them are partially reliable, even the best of eyes. By all accounts, the beast was huge. Many witnesses compared it to a small horse. The beast's hair varied in color. Usually its base coat was a reddish brown, but its markings varied from a black stripe down to its spine to patches of gray hair to spots on its hindquarters. It had long, vicious fangs and claws, unlike any of the known predators in the region. This is going to go over all the different types. I know you guys are buzzing through your head different things. Some witnesses claimed that the claws had melded together into a sort of hoof. The beast's head was flat and its snout was more like a pig than a wolf. Its ears were small and rounded. It had a wide, cavernous chest, narrow hips, and a long tail, thin but terribly powerful. And according to some witnesses, the beast could use its tail as a weapon to knock men off their feet. Hunters produced as many as 6 different bodies claiming that they had slain the beast. These bodies were usually around 150 pounds and resembled very large wolves. The 2 most credible bodies were stuffed, examined by surgeons, and even presented to the royal court. One of the bodies was described by a famous wolf hunter who said, "We declare by the present reports signed from our hand, we never saw a big wolf that could be compared to this one." The other body was described by the superintendent of Gennevad region, who reported that a native killed an animal which appeared to be a wolf, but a wolf extraordinary and quite different by his figure and his proportions from the wolves that have been seen in this country. The beast was feared not just because of its terrible power, but also because of its unusual and brutal hunting techniques. Although it did prefer to attack victims when they were alone, he was clearly unafraid of adult humans, being 6 times more likely to attack an adult than your typical wolf. His attacks were almost always surprises. He would appear suddenly from the bushes or even drop down on the victims from above, and seemed to prefer broad daylight to the typical predator's cloak of night. He used his claws in devastating effect, much more so than a typical wolf. But his signature death blow was to tear the victim's throat out and crush its skull. Chillingly, the beast seemed to hunt for pleasure as much for hunger. Although he sometimes devoured his victims, he killed them and abandoned their carcasses just as often. Over time, the beast proved to be equally talented at playing the hunted rather than the hunter. He was a master of evasion. Just when hunters thought they had him cornered, he would disappear. He also seemed to be unaffected by bullets. According to several hunters, he suffered multiple gunshot wounds, only to rise and escape back into the bushes. Now, that you need that little part there, remember, because we're going to come back to that a little bit. Many local people in Agave believed that the beast had helpers in his dirty work. Some of the victims were killed at the same time or in different locations, and some witnesses reported seeing him in the company of a mate, his cubs, or even a man. This last report, coupled with the fact that the beast was sometimes seen wearing armor made out of tough hide skin, led some villagers to believe that he was a trained attack animal rather than a lone predator. The beast's paws are bloodied with more than 80 to 200 men, women, and children in the region of Ganaved. His first attack took place in the summer of 1764 when he charged a woman who was out tending her cattle. Fortunately, the woman's herd, including several bulls, who managed to fend off the beast. But his next victim was a 14-year-old child who was not so lucky. She was a little shepherd girl, and yeah, it was pretty gruesome what happened to her. Beheaded and innards devoured. Within months, the monster had claimed so many lives that the mass hysteria began to set in. The hysteria was fueled by the beast's reputation for striking anytime, anywhere. Although he preferred lone shepherds, he was also documented attacking villagers while they worked in public gardens, shops, and in great spring fairs, and even priests and monks in an abbey. That's another detail you might want to remember. Public hysteria reached its climax in 1765 when the beast attacked a group of 7 armed men. Although the men survived, the audacity of this attack brought the beast to the king's attention, and he launched a crusade to end the bloodbath. Despite the king's wrath, the beast's reign of terror continued until 1767. Soon after the beast's killing spree began, local men began taking up arms against the monster that plagued them. In less than 6 months, these men had declared all-out war against the local wolf population, forming large hunting parties called beasts. In total, these hunting parties killed over 100 wolves before the hysteria subsided. In October of 1764, Captain Dummel organized his soldiers into one of the largest hunting parties that ever trailed the beast. 47 men took on the project, but the beast evaded them all. Their failure, however, only served to excite other hunters across the region. Soon a reward was being offered for the beast's pelt, and the hunters were flocking into the region of Ganaved to join the sport. Among the hunters pouring into Ganaved in the summer of 1765 was Deneval, a famous wolf hunter sent by the king. Deneval brought his legendary bloodhounds to track the beast, but after witnessing the death of several men, Deneval fled the province. Yeah, mighty hunter was he. Finally, the king sent his personal gun carrier, Franco Antone, to bring the beast to justice. For months, Antone merely studied the landscape and the monster's habits. Then in September 1765, Antone and a party of 40 men and 12 bloodhounds brought a monster to bay near the Abbey of Chazes. Incredibly, the beast survived its first volley of bullets and staggered back to its feet, ready to attack again. But the second volley brought him down for good. His body was stuffed and presented to the king in the royal court. And at that point, by the time it made it to the king, it was in really, really stinky bad shape, and I think they burnt it. For 3 months, the countryside enjoyed a break from the ghastly killings that had plagued it for over a year. Then in December of 1765, the beast, or a new beast, emerged to paint a bloody sequel to its rampage. This monster continued killing well into 1767, when a party of 300 hunters finally sent him to his grave. Among the hunters was a local farmer and innkeeper, Jean Chistel, who encountered the beast alone and fired 2 silver bullets into his chest, thus silencing him forever. Now think about that. Killing indoors, silver bullets, it all added fuel to the werewolf. Some of the stories, I'm getting off of the script here, some of the stories about this thing talk about it being on 2 feet, walking like a man, being seen with a man, which you saw before, wearing armor, all adds to a person transforming into a werewolf. Where the full moon was added and the other things, don't know. All right. Some literature and stuff about it. During the beast reign, and you can see Loki has a bunch of pictures of it, and even the statue that was made. During the beast's reign, numerous artistic renderings were made of him, both to warn the public about him and to aid hunters in identifying him. He was regularly characterized in newspapers and wanted posters. Since his demise, the beast has become a famous figure in werewolf lore. He made literary debut in Gothic novels like Le Beast of Gabaldon, Wolves, an old story retold. Since then, he has been handed down into contemporary werewolf media, such as the feature film Brotherhood of the Wolf and Teen Wolf. Perhaps even more than his grips in the imagination or paranormal fan fiction, the beast fascinated historians and cryptozoologists. Unlike other mythological creatures, this monster who ravaged Gineved comes with a solid historical record. There's no doubt that something was responsible for the carnage, and scholars love to speculate about what the true identity of that something was. Until recently, the most popular theory explained the beast to be a wolf-dog hybrid. If a wolf mated with a large dog, mastiffs were popular in the area at the time. The offspring might have had several of the beast's traits, namely his size, his thin tail, and his reddish coat. He might also have the beast's peculiar disposition, which combined with the wolf's predatory bloodlust and with the dog's lack of fear of humans. More recent evidence has painted to a striped hyena or pack of striped hyenas, and this tends to be the strongest case. Although striped hyenas had been driven out of Europe in before the 1764, which I never knew there were hyenas there, but apparently there were centuries ago. They were not uncommon in menageries, collections of wild and exotic animals kept by eccentric individuals. That was common at the time of the Renaissance, to keep all kinds of weird animals or mummies or different things. Jean Chastel, his own son, was said to keep hyenas in a menagerie near Gineved, and stuffed hyenas, dating back to the early 18th century, having been found in nearly every museum collection. So Jean Chastel, he was the one with the silver bullets that brought it down. And they started putting two and two together, knowing that his son kept hyenas. Although the striped hyena certainly isn't the same size as a small horse or a calf. Its stripes, broad chest, flat head match physical descriptions of the beast. The popular cryptozoological TV series, there we go, spit it out, Monster Quest, helped to popularize this theory. National Geographic has weighed in on this mystical beast. In September of 2016, they named a young male lion as the culprit, claiming that the lion was a perfect match for the beast's physiological description and hunting style. Lions can weigh up to 800 pounds, almost 10 times as much as a wolf. They have reddish fur, and when young, might have stripes down their backs or spots on the haunches. Their tails are long, thin, thistled, and their heads are flat with small, rounded ears. They are experts in stalking prey without being seen, even in broad daylight, and they frequently leap on their victims and crush their throats or heads. Perhaps the most chilling theory is that the beast was more than a predator. He may have even been a pet. The fact that the beast killed without eating his victims and was sometimes seen wearing armor or in the company of a man, suggesting that it might have been a trained killer. You think about that, people who have house cats, they love to kill and rarely eat because they have food at home. This would be the same thing. Many scholars have pointed fingers to Jean Chastel, whose heroism was celebrated after he was mysteriously able to kill the beast when dozens of other famous hunters had failed. It's known that Chastel's son kept a menagerie, so he would have had access to wild animals. Chastel's character is also called into question by his imprisonment in the early 1760s for misleading some of the king's men into a swamp where they almost died. Chastel may have been motivated to breed and to train the beast as a cover up for his own murderous impulses, or he may have used the beast as a way to gain personal glory while while also reducing the wolf population to protect his sheep. Who knows? Either way, it fits hyenas, werewolves, lions. Love to attack women, love to drag them off by their heads and tear out their throats. Unless you have the Beast of Gabaldon.
Speaker for the Dead says, if you have ever seen Ghost in the Darkness with Val Kilmer, shows how lethal lions can be. The hippos fart through their mouths. How do you know that? I read everything. Yeah, absolutely love that. They're amazing creatures. They even fart through their mouths. It's like, wow, okay. How the hell do you know that? I love Africa. You hear Val Kilmer say that a lot in that movie. I love Africa. And then he gets there and it's like, yeah, what a shithole.
Never saw it.
It's death. Absolutely, positively awesome movie. Him and it's not Kurt Russell. It's the other one. Yeah, him. The guy who's in. Yeah.
The other guy, one of those people from Hollywood.
The other guy.
That one.
One of the other people from Hollywood. Yes. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Amazing story, guys. I've got a continuation.
Yes.
This week for you, from last week. Last week's story was called "Emotional Support." Canadians are not what you think, part 2. This is the final. So, the first sentence here is, if you don't know how I got myself into this, read here. And then it goes on. I did it. I called Aria. I know what you're all thinking. I read your comments and saw what you said. But none of that matters anymore because I called her against my better judgment. I have a hard time explaining why I did it. Maybe if you heard Aria's voice, you would understand. Once you've heard that sound and felt that beautiful connection, nothing is ever the same. You'll find yourself feeling that every moment spent not with talking with Aria, these moments in pain and anguish. I realize now, for reasons I'm about to explain, that Aria is more like an evil creature than an angelic voice. Her voice and presence are as addicting as a hardcore drug, and I was the user. Aria sending me the text was as if a sentient bottle fell out of the sky and landed in the hands of a struggling alcoholic. The odds were against me from the beginning. I held off a whole day, but I forgot to take the anxiety pills one morning. I just couldn't handle not hearing Aria's voice. Devin, how are you? I'm sure you've had a really hard few weeks without me. Why don't you tell me all about it? Hearing her voice was as amazing as the first day I had heard her voice. Hell, it was even more amazing. All the anxiety and stress I had felt over the past weeks dissipated instantly. My anxious mind felt calm again and my tense muscles instantly relaxed. For the first time, I was able to quit pacing and just lay down. I collapsed on my bed in relief. It's been a really hard few couple of weeks, and it's your fault, I told Aria, attempting to sound bold. But I had a hard time hiding my relief. You asked me to kill my sister, and you almost talked me into it. I'm so sorry, darling. I really want us to be together. I should have never asked you to do that. I'm so in love with you that it made me crazy. Of all the things she had just told me, the only statement that really mattered at the time was that she loved me. The butterflies twinkled in my stomach. You still love me? I asked, trying to hold back weeks of built up tears. Of course I do, baby. We have something truly special, something no one else has. I know you feel that too. I promise I'll never ask you to do something like that again. Arya, I started talking before realizing that I had no idea what to say. Part of me was still resisting and told me to hang up the fucking phone, but the rest of me wouldn't let me do it. Don't you love me too? Arya asked in my silence. The part of me that was resisting lost the battle right then and there. I caved under a heavy wave of bottled up emotions. I do, Arya. I do love you, I told her. And like the pathetic person I had become, I burst into tears. Tears of joy, tears of relief, and tears of guilt. I knew what I was doing was wrong, but it felt so damn right. Tell me everything, baby. Tell me how you've been feeling, Arya told me. The next few hours were spent telling her everything, starting with the day I ran out of my house and into the ER with a knife threatening to end it all. Arya's soothing voice comforted me. She understood how I felt and why I did what I did. She understood all the stress, all the anxiety I'd been through, and most importantly, she apologized for her actions. For the first time, it was my turn to be understanding of her feelings. I understood. Once again, I spent the entire night on the phone with Arya. We shared everything, even the things that we had already shared. I had never felt closer to anyone in my entire life. So what if we had a little fight? We love each other, and we are meant to be together forever. We decided that we needed to find a way to be together. This time, we were going to alleviate my sister's concerns. This would be done by me taking the time to speak and interact with her so she wouldn't suspect anything. She still doesn't know that I walked into her room with a knife, intending to kill her. As far as she's concerned, I just had a mental breakdown that night. Following morning, I quit my job and spent my days talking with Arya, or just listening to her godly voice. Every word she said reverberated through my mind, my heart, and my soul. When Arya speaks, the sound just bypasses your ears completely and hits your brain in all of the right places. As planned, I talked to my sister for 30 minutes every night. I feel bad for lying to her about everything, but it was critical that I kept her suspicions low. She was just too nosy, especially after my little incident. Honestly, the 30 minutes without talking to Arya got painful, making it difficult to keep a smile on. But as soon as I got back into my room and put those headphones on, Arya would reward me by singing. The songs that she sang to me were unlike any singing or music that I can describe to you. Her voice was simultaneously the voice of the music, the harmony, the melody. Every time her singing would put me into a deep, deep sleep. Our plans were made. I told my sister that I would be spending a week at a friend's house in a remote part of the Midwest. Then I booked my trip to the northwestern United States to a town near the US-Canadian border. Once there, I would get a ride to the mountainside where I would hike through mountainous terrain and make it over the border, hopefully undetected. Arya would be waiting for me there. I packed some food, water, a knife, a GPS that I purchased, and 5 extra power banks so I could keep my phone and headphones charged for the trip. The trip was fine, up until the hike. I knew that I would be hiking through mountainous terrain, but what I didn't realize is that I would essentially be hiking over a mountain. I think this was exacerbated by the fact that the route was planned a little weird to keep within distance of cell towers. so that I could talk to Arya, of course. After 15 hours, I was absolutely exhausted, and I haven't even started downhill yet. It was pitch black, 29 degrees. I was suddenly terrified when I realized that I hadn't even for a second considered the wildlife. There were bears, wolves. I had no idea what was in the area. Arya, though, her voice kept me trucking, step after step. But then, my cellular connection cut off. I panicked and started running. I was worried before, but she understood those worries and helped me along. Now it was quiet. I was left terrified of the dark and desolate wilderness. I ran for what felt like miles till I finally had one bar. I immediately called her back. And when she answered the phone, relief hit me. But so did complete exhaustion. I collapsed to the ground. Arya, I'm so tired. I don't know how much further I can go, I told her. Baby, you are stronger than you could ever understand. I know you can do this. You can do this for us, so we can be happy. She was right. I had to keep walking. I had to do this for us. That's when she started singing. The singing was a different type of song than what she usually sang to me as I fell asleep. This song was the song of adventure, success, and peace. I was instantly regenerated by a newfound energy. As I started walking again, I felt lighter. It was as if she had given me the power of her angel wings, more power than 1,000 Red Bull drinks could do for you, but I knew I was headed downhill, and the worst of it was over. Just as the brilliant sunrise colors of orange and pink broke over the mountains that were now behind me, I saw a white van on a dirt road, just as she had promised. My heart damn near beat out of my chest. The moment when I would be able to see and touch my one true love was just minutes away. Everything I had longed for was about to be in my lap. When I was only 100 yards out, I heard a different voice shatter everything. I pulled my headphones down around my neck. Hey there, bud. I'm going to need you to stop right there and answer a few questions for me. Nice and easy, came the voice. I froze in my tracks and turned around to see a man wearing a blue uniform. On his shoulder was a patch that I recognized from my research. CBSA, Canada Border Services Agency. I'd come so far, hiked over 20 hours, just to be stopped here. I wasn't willing to accept that. I wasn't willing to let anyone take Arya from me. I turned and I ran full speed towards the white van. His footsteps were close behind me, gaining on me. My legs were tired from hiking so far and were moving far too sluggishly. Just as I was about to get to the van, I felt the CBSA officer's hand grab the back of my shirt and tackle me to the ground. The realization that this man was going to take me away from my greatest love infuriated me. I was overcome by a sudden wave of dread and anger. And before I knew what I was doing, I grabbed my knife from my pocket and rolled over onto my back. As the officer tried to gain the advantage by climbing on top of me, I plunged my knife upwards directly into his neck. The knife was stabbing straight into his right carotid artery, and I ripped the knife all the way through his left. His neck opened like a popped water balloon as massive amounts of blood dropped onto my face, covering me. I pushed the dying and shocked man off of me as I heard the horrible gurgles coming from him. I opened the back of the van and jumped in, shutting the door behind me. The van immediately started and drove off. I was immediately overcome with relief and joy that I was finally going to be with my love, but slightly disappointed to realize that I had to wait just a little longer, as the back of the cargo van was cut off from the cab. Putting the headphones back on, I asked, Arya, is that you driving? Yes, baby, I'm in the front. We'll be there soon. Listen, baby, I know what you did back there wasn't what you wanted to do, but you did the right thing. I know that you did that for us, so we could be happy. How does that make you feel? She was right. I did that for us. I just feel like I'm ready to see you. Can you pull over so I can get in the front with you? I asked. Not until we get there, baby, but there is one more thing I need you to do before you can see me. What is it? I'll do anything for you. The thing is, Devin, I have a deformity. I can't let you see me. Ever. What do you mean I can't see you? Look, Arya, I don't care if you have a deformity. I love you, and I always will. I already know that you are beautiful, and no amount of imperfection could change that for me. I told her, trying to reassure her of the insecurities that I didn't know she had. I know, baby, but you just can't see me. If you love me and you want us to be happy, you need to cut your eyes out. Cut my eyes out? I promise I don't care what you look like. I always love you, and you'll always be beautiful to me. I understand how you feel, Arya said. But you have to do this. You have to do it for us. Don't you love me? At that moment, I would have done anything. Just like how she almost talked me into stabbing my sister's throat. My free will was gone. I do love you, Arya. Okay, I'll do it. I picked up my knife, wiped the blood off, plunged it into my right eye. It hurt. It hurt so bad. But I had to. I needed her. There was nothing that could keep me from her. As I screamed in pain, the singing started. This time, it wasn't just through the headphones. The beautiful sound encompassed the entire band. The sound of the engine and the road were gone, drowned out completely by the sound of the heavens. What's more, my pain stopped. It was like magic. I couldn't feel anything. There was no doubt left in my mind that Arya was not a human being. She had to be an angel. I'm not saying this metaphorically. I truly believed she was a literal angel. The music gave me what I needed to finish cutting out my right eye, till the cut-up ball of flesh hung from the optic nerve. Cut off the optic, felt my destroyed eyeball land in my lap. Without hesitation, I moved the knife and plunged it in my left eye, digging it out until it too rested on my lap. It's done, sweetheart. I cut out my eyes, I told her. Thank you, baby. I know that must have been hard, Arya told me. Before I could respond, I felt the van come to a stop and the engine turned off. I heard the driver's door close and then heard the footsteps walk towards the back of the van. I felt the back doors open up, letting in the fresh, glorious mountain air, carrying with it the best scent I had ever smelled. It was like perfume, but far better. It was heaven. Devin, came Arya's voice, filling my mind as well as the space all around me. Her voice was amazing through the headphones, but nothing could have prepared me for the real life experience. Like her singing, the voice was all encompassing, as if when she spoke, her voice was the only sound that existed. We can finally be together. I tried to talk to her, but I had no words. It was okay, though. She could understand how I was feeling. She picked me up into her arms with surprising strength and carried me. Holy shit, she's a She-Hulk. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't even care that I was now blind. Feeling her touch was the best feeling I had ever had. I allowed my hand to rub on her back, taking in the feel of her soft skin. My hand came across something soft but firm. They felt like feathers on wings. And that's when I realized she really was an angel. She carried me into the warm, cozy house filled with her beautiful aroma. She laid me down on a bed that was as soft as a cloud and laid down next to me. Ever since I met Arya, all I wanted was to hear her angelic voice. But now, her overpowering presence brought me even more joy than her voice. I had no words. She bent down over me, and her lips met mine, the most amazing, passionate kiss I'd ever had. As she pulled away, her singing encompassed the room once again. I was exhausted from my travels. I allowed myself to fall asleep, happier than I ever felt in my life. When I woke up, I was laying on hard ground with a rock in my back. Everything hurt. My eyes, or where my eyes should have been, were radiating with a horrible pain through my head. The pain was worse than anything I'd ever felt. I tried to sit up, but I found even more splitting pain in my midsection. I moved my hands down and felt 3 large incisions on my body. On each side of my torso, just underneath my ribs, there was a partially stitched up incision that must have been 12 inches or longer. There was another large arrow-shaped incision in the middle of my abdomen, area where the pointing end a few inches above my belly button. I started panicking and hyperventilating, which only made the pain worse. I had no idea what had happened to me. Where was Arya? What had she done to me? I heard a car pass nearby, which meant that I was near a road. I took every last bit of strength and willpower, but I managed to half crawl, half drag myself over toward the road until I felt asphalt. I laid there in agony for what felt like hours before another car passed and pulled over. I heard horrified chatter of the people that had found me, but somebody managed to pick me up and put me in a car. They took me to a hospital. I'm here in the hospital now, connected to a dialysis machine and handcuffed to the bed. This morning, the police broke the news to me that I'm under arrest for murder. An hour later, the doctor broke the news that both my kidneys and liver had been removed. Now, not only do I no longer have eyes, kidneys, or liver, but I have a severe infection spreading through my body. The doctor gives me only a couple of days to live. I cannot be transported back to the United States because I would not survive the trip. Even if I could survive it, there were murder charges. Despite all my excruciating physical pain, nothing hurts more than the emotional pain. Arya might as well have ripped my heart out too. Sure feels like she did. I loved her. I trusted her. I killed for her, and she did this to me. Even still, my heart aches to hear that voice one last time. I don't know who Arya is. I don't know what she is. I thought she was an angel, but I now realize that she is something far worse. I cannot possibly understand why she did this to me. All I know is that if you get a text message offering you emotional support from a Canadian, delete it. Delete it immediately. If you hear her voice, even just once, it's already too late.
Is that a lesson? Is watch out for Canadians?
Hi, everyone. This is Jess, Devon's sister. I can't express to you how devastated I am to inform you that Devon passed away this morning. Luckily, the Canadian authorities had enough mercy to allow me to be there for his last day. Before I got here, he had used his smartphone's text talk feature to tell me this story. He asked me to clean it up a bit and post it here. Let me tell you that Devon would have never done something like this on his own free will. I believe that whoever or whatever Arya is, she somehow warped his mind. The authorities obviously don't believe this, but one thing is for certain. His organs were harvested. For what reason? Nobody knows. Sincerely, Jessica.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought it was over.
Ladies and gentlemen, RM Staniforth. Emotional support Canadians are not what you think. Part 2.
He likes to take us for a ride. That was cool.
He does. Indeed he does. And you never find out what the evil bitch is. Harvey! Adega Outlaw. Harvey.
Yeah, sirens are around water. It doesn't act like a Winnebago, or what is it, Wendigo. I'm thinking it's a harpy because it had the feathers.
There's also the other one. Was it Incubus? Succubus, whatever it is.
A succubus,
There's one of them.
they tend to look more like a
Devil.
what are they? A satyr.
Yeah.
Part goat.
So
Talk about
what a way to
shape.
what a way to end the night.
Yeah.
Good guys don't always win, ladies and gentlemen. The good guys do not always win. So we'll be back next week with more 7 Kinds of Mischief. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for taking part in this. Lady Miss, thank you so much. Lady Miss sent me the sweetest message yesterday. I was having a bad day. I was having a bad day yesterday. I've been dealing with not smoking and not having any nicotine. I did have a cigar last night. I did not smoke a cigarette, but I did have a cigar last night. But Lady Miss sent me the most wonderful message. So thank you. Thank you very much, Lady Miss.
See?
You guys are what it's all about.
It's the good things we held on to.
That's right.
Thank you for doing that for my friend, Lady Mist.
Thank you, Lady Mist. Guys, we're out of here. Take care. Be great. Always be excellent to each other. Always speak friend to enter. And we will be back next week for more 7 Kinds of Mischief. Take care, everybody. See you later.
See ya.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.